Hi everybody and welcome back to LL Sports TV, in specifically the show we call Keep It in the Family. And joining me on the show today, I've got two family members. To my left, I've got my beautiful niece, Kenyah, in the building. Let's give her a round of applause.
Queen of
And to my right, I've got my brother. He's not my biological brother, but he's my brother all the same. I've got my boy Quams with the arms.
Yes.
And he's got the guns.
They're here. Bang, bang.
You know what I mean?
Indeed.
Right, on today's show, we're going to do a little bit of post-mortem on the Chelsea game because it was a big game. And then we're going to move on to the game against Brentford on Wednesday. So let's start very quickly with my boy Quams. Let's chat to you first. Just a very quick take on the draw against Chelsea at the Bridge yesterday.
A bit unfortunate. I felt like, positives is that after the week that we had, beating North London rivals and then Bayern Munich Champions League, to get a draw away from home to an informed Chelsea who just saw off Barcelona, I'll take a draw. But obviously there was a few things within the game that I wasn't 100% happy with. But look, these lot are human. We can't expect them to win all the time. We can't expect them to be at their very top. And if that's the best, or if that's how we're going to be when we're at our most vulnerable, i.e. not having our centre-backs, then fine, or our two starting centre-backs, then yeah, that's fine. So yeah, I was happy with a draw.
My supplementary to that is you said you weren't happy with a few things. Just very quickly, what were those things?
Just, we had a plan. Going into that game, we had a plan. And we knew that a lot of these derbies involves us emotionally getting drained. I felt like the occasion got the best of us. I felt like Chelsea had a game plan to rattle us, and we fell into their trap where we rose to it. Instead of trying to stay calm and collected, we started to, kind of rival against them. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't have a bite in the game. I'm not saying that we shouldn't compete. But especially where you saw Anthony Taylor flashing the yellow card so early, you could already see where the game was panning. So I just felt we had the advantage with with Chelsea going down to 10 men. And I just wanted us to kind of kick on. But I just felt like we were still playing catch-up because Chelsea started very well. They did do very well to kind of stifle us. So, yeah, that's why I was a bit disappointed.
Okay, fair enough. Kenyah, your thoughts on the 1-1 draw against Chelsea?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Kwam says. I think, we went into the game. I always say that I'm not worried about any team. It's just more of how we're going to turn up. And I just don't think we really turned up, if I'm being honest. That, by far, in my opinion, was our worst game this season. Look, you'll take a point. If you said at the start of the week you're going to get 7 out of 9 points out of, Spurs, Bayern, and Chelsea, I'd be like, yeah, that's a fantastic week. And I still think it is a really great week. I think obviously it would have been nicer to win, make a statement. But I do think some players' levels were lower than what we're used to. That's not to say, I wouldn't say anyone was particularly I wouldn't say rubbish or anything, but just below the standards. But we get out of there with a point. They failed to beat us again, really, at the Bridge. I just know that when it comes to the Emirates, it will be a different story. So I have, a bit of, relaxed. I'm a bit relaxed about that. But yeah, the week could have ended on a higher note. But I'm not gonna lose sleep over it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what? I'm kind of in between where you guys are. First and foremost, I do think it was 2 points dropped.
Okay. Yeah.
That being said, though, I actually thought Chelsea overall were the better team. So although it was 2 points dropped, by the time it came for the referee to blow the whistle, I was like, you know what, based on what I'm seeing, let's get the point and get out of there. You know what I mean? Yeah. We weren't at our best. For me, I thought I could detect signs of tiredness in some of our players, and that's something I'm going to come on to with the Brentford game. But yeah, I think for whatever reason, we weren't quite at it yesterday. Chelsea were the better team. Even then, they went down to 10 men. Even in the latter stages of that game, I thought if anyone was going to score, it was going to be Chelsea. Which is, But hey, it is what it is. You can't win every week. As Kenyah says, we got the draw. It's not the end of the world. We move. And we move appropriately onto our next fixture against Brentford at home. And Quams, we should have every reason to feel confident. It's first versus 10th. Brentford, even though, they've surprised a lot of people this season, they've done pretty well considering where a lot of people thought, including myself. I was one of them. I doubted whether Brentford would be 10th in the table at this stage. I thought they might struggle. They lost their manager, they lost some key players. But to be fair to Keith Andrew, they've done they've done pretty well.
They have.
But their away form is less than
Yeah,
impressive.
Their
having
away
lost
form
5 out of 6 away games this season.
So poor. That's the one thing I'm sure Keith Andrews is trying to rectify. I think I looked at it, and Brentford are winless against us in the last, 6 or 7 away games. So that's what gives me kind of hope that we'll be fine. It's just me throwing caution to the wind in the sense of how I want us to start the game, and in terms of a strong squad instead of just resting players. Key players I'd look out for is obviously Igor Thiago. 11 goals he's scored so far. He's just sitting under one of the most ripest strikers in Haaland in the Premier League. He's one of the top scoring Brazilians in the top 5 leagues as well, and that's incredible. I know he is trying to get into that Brazilian squad, but he's a player. If I'm Hincapié and Mosquera, I need to make sure that I'm keeping him quiet. So yeah, we're gonna have our work cut out, but Brentford can cause a threat. I know Kenyah, she mentioned on one of the other videos that we've done today where she was talking about they are one of the best counter-attacking teams. Huatara on the right, and then you've got Coyote as well at right back. So I just want our back line, if anything, to be really, really solid and stay together as a unit. But I feel like everything that I've seen this season, I feel like Arsenal know how important this game is. So whoever we choose, or Arteta chooses to play, we'll get the job done. That's the most important thing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Moving over to you, Kenyah. Brentford, what do you make of them this season so far, and what are you expecting them to bring to the Emirates?
Yeah, you know what? I actually really like Brentford as a team. Like, they're a nice club, and I think, as you guys said, they lost, their manager, lost their captain to us. They lost Mbeumo, Wissa, and honestly, I was thinking, they might go down, man. Genuinely, the way to lose all those key players, but it's almost as if they just carry on. They go and get Igor Thiago, which at Club Brugge, which is where he came from, he wasn't really doing that well, but he's coming to the Prem, he's doing really good. Jordan Henderson, someone who we're thinking, is washed, he's finished. He's gone to Brentford, he's playing really, really well. So
I know the man to my right here rates him high.
Yeah, his passing has been really, really good. And as I said before, I think they're the best counter-attacking team in the league. Look what they did to... I know this was all at the G-Tech, but look what they did to Liverpool. Look what they did to even Chelsea, even to Man United. They've shown already, when they get a plan together, they can actually do it. Again on the road, quite poor. But they have won on the road. They won against West Ham. I know that's, probably not the greatest achievement at the time because of where West Ham was. But... considering their away form, that's actually a good 3 points. They're going to be a hard team. You can't take them lightly. And then as well, as you guys were saying, the players that they got in their front line, you got Sharda, you've got Otara who they got from Bournemouth, you've got Igor Thiago, you've got Damsgaard. These are really good really good players. That can hurt you. We saw it last season. They scored in a counter attack. The season before that, when we beat them 2-1, it took us to the dying minutes to beat them. Do you know what I mean? So we have to be for sure locked in because they are a really good team.
Yeah, they definitely deserve respect. I remember when Tony left, and a lot of people said that they'd struggled then, and then Mbeumo and Wissa stepped up. Now Mbeumo and Wissa stepped up. You talked about Thiago, Otara, and even when Thomas Frank left, I thought they might struggle. But to be fair to the manager now, his name escapes me. Keith Andrews, former defender himself, former Irish international. He's done really well there. He was the set-piece coach.
Yeah, man.
And he's got them playing really well and made them difficult to beat at home anyway.
Yeah.
And their two main threats appear to be the counter-attacking that you guys talked about. They're also pretty good on set pieces and long throws and stuff like that. Yeah. So there will be a challenge. Let's move on to the team, because I think that's an interesting debate to be had. We've had that debate on another forum today, and it got quite lively. Now, for me, I'm going to put my cards on the table.
Okay.
When we played Chelsea, I felt I detected signs of tiredness in some of our heavy hitters, namely Declan Rice, Timber, and one or two others. But those two in particular, I thought they weren't quite at it. For me, and I'm not disrespecting Brentford, I would probably not start those two guys. I'd introduce an element of rotation. I'd bring in Christian Norgard, who's a former Brentford player, former captain of theirs. Not featured much this season, but we know he's a good player. He would be highly motivated playing against his old club. I would start with him. I would also give Timber a rest. I would start with Ben White, who must be absolutely gagging for some game time. You know what I mean? And we know how good a player he is. He's not featured much. Because what I'm kind of looking, and again, I don't want to sound disrespectful, but I'm looking ahead as well, because a couple of days after we played Brentford, Quams, then we got a massive game against arguably the form team in the Premier League at the moment. In fact, statistically, they are. Aston Villa at home. That is going to be a horrible game for Arsenal.
It's going to be a
potentially.
Humdinger.
So we need our heavy hitters to be absolutely fresh and rearing to go. And again, I'm not disrespecting Brentford, but I'm thinking if you can't play Norgard against Brentford or Ben White against Brentford, then you have to ask yourself why they're in the squad. So I'd make those changes. I'd also bring in my man Gyökeres up top, give Marino a rest, and I would bring in the captain Odegaard, and he would replace Eze, but I would keep Eze on the left-hand side.
Yep.
Kenya, what do you reckon?
I just actually, funny enough, looked at Aston Villa's next game. They've got Brighton away. So, like, that's not an easy game for them as well. So they probably might even change people. They're going to go into that game. Of course, for them, then it's at home. But, you know, there's a bit of jeopardy in that. But I think for my team, it really depends on who's fit and who's about. So I would actually bring in Ben White because I think he does need to play. And I do want to give Timber a rest. If Saliba's fit, I want him to play. I'm not going to lie. I think we just missed him, like, in that Chelsea game. Missed his passing. So if he's fit and he's okay to play, I'd put him in with Hincapié. I'd put Ricardo Calafiori left back. Midfield, I'd actually keep Declan Rice and Zubi in. Just because it's most likely going to be Mosquera and Hincapié. And I think you can't just go tinkering around too much, because then you've got a completely different back line, and then your midfield, one of your best midfielders is out. Like, you need a level of security for your defence. I'd bring Martin Odegaard in. I'd maybe put Eze out on the left. I'd keep Saka in, and I'd put Victor Gyökeres up top.
Sounds good.
Qualms. For me, similar to what Kenya was saying. It would be nice to have Saliba in, but I feel like Arteta's learning. Yeah, he's learning from, I think it was the Liverpool game away from home, Anfield, where Saliba picked up a knock and he still played him. And then we obviously had to put Mosquera in. I don't want a situation where Saliba could be out for a long time as well, in the same with Gabriel. So, again, I would want to build on that relationship between Hincapié and Mosquera. Left back, I'll do Calafiori. I agree with the right back. In terms of White, if I am going to change anyone between Timber and Declan Rice, I would change Timber and rest him to start off the game, but start with Declan Rice and Super Mendy in the middle there, because they call him Super Mendy now. Number 10 position, I would put Odegaard. And then left-hand side, I know I have my reservations about Martinelli, but just in terms of impact, I would actually have Madueke on the left, up top Gyökeres, and on the right Saka. So I'd actually start Madueke. And yeah, I just feel like we can't take Brentford lightly, and they're going to expect a strong outfit in terms of they're going to expect us to be strong at home. You know, if they start seeing on the team sheet that Norgard's starting, I'm sure Jordan Henderson will be rubbing his hands, and the rest of the Brentford team, because they'll be like, yeah, we know exactly how Norgard plays. We know his weaknesses. Let's get some more balls in the air. Aerial threat. How good is Norgard in the air? Those are the things I'd be looking at if I'm the opposition manager. I was looking at a stat as well. Henderson's got 3 assists, the same as Declan Rice, the same as Trossard. So he's someone you need to keep quiet in that midfield. So just stamp your authority with having Declan Rice and Zubimendi in there. That's what I'll go for.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've not got any wholesale disagreements with anything you guys have said. I think if I'm being honest, and again, I'm not being disrespectful to Brentford, either of those teams that we selected, in my opinion, should be able to get the job done against Brentford.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're top, they're 10th. You know what I mean? Their away record speaks for itself. It's not very good. They've out of 6 away games so far, they've lost 5 of them.
Yep.
Only 1 game did they win, and that was against a very lowbrow West Ham who were at their lowest ever. Yeah. So you need to take that into consideration. And like I said, I'm looking ahead. They say you shouldn't look too far ahead, but listen, when you say looking ahead, the game is literally 3 days after we play Brentford. We've got a massive game against an informed team like Villa. So that's what my thought process was on that. Okay, we've talked about the teams tactically. Now, I think it's fair to say that Brentford are not going to come to the Emirates and engage us high.
They're
up
the real
pitch.
set piece FC.
They're a low block counter attack inside. What if you're Keith Andrew? Why would you change that? So we know that's what they're going to do. But Kenya, how do we counteract that?
Yeah, I think we have to learn from what we did wrong at Chelsea, which is, we need to hold on to possession. If we're gonna, do the long balls and stuff like that, we need to be winning our second balls. So I really expect us to be kind of back to what we're used to being, which is a high possession team, controlling the game, but also being clinical up front. Yeah. You have to take every chance, because we know already with counter-attacking teams, just against a run of play, they're down the other end, they've scored. So we have to be as clinical as possible, but also level-headed. No rash decisions, no silly cards. I do think, some of the players love them, but picking up a few cards like Zubimendi, love him, but discipline at times can be much better. Let's control this game and not really give them a sniff, so much so that they're thinking, oh my God, what do we do? They might have to change their game plan and come out of that shell, which again enables us to play much better, because that's what we're good at playing against. So we just need to really be on the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to bring Kwams in a minute. Just picking up on a couple of things he said. So we know that we're going to have by far, maybe not by far, but we're going to enjoy the majority of the possession. Now, one of the things that was disappointing for me in the Chelsea game, and this is a little pattern that I've noticed with Arsenal, is that even though we enjoyed something like 60% possession in that game, Chelsea were down to 10 men. We had the ball a lot. If you look at the actual stats in terms of shots, Chelsea had more shots on goal than we did. Yeah. Now, I'm always saying one of the tactics you can use as a team to circumvent low blocks is to shoot outside the box. Still not seeing that enough from Arsenal, man. No. And it's disappointing. We pass the ball around and we look good, and then it breaks down, nothing comes of it. You think, well, these guys need to trust themselves a bit more and to be more direct in terms of shooting opportunities. Yesterday, for me, was a prime example. We didn't do enough of that. How can a team that had 10 men to our 11, they had less percentage possession than us, and yet still they had more shots on goal than us. So that's one way. And then the other way now is the manager has to be good with his in-game management. So if certain things are not working, give it a different look. Do not become too predictable, because when teams are setting up a low block, they want everything in front of them where they can see it. So you need to mix it up a bit. You might go long, you might go short, you might cut inside, shoot. You know what I mean? Mix it up. Don't become predictable, because low block teams, that is what they want. They want you to do one thing, because they can set up better against that. Kwams, what do you think? Tactically, how do we go about beating Brentford?
It's learning from the mistakes of Chelsea. I mean, when I looked at the game, or back at the game, once Caicedo got sent off, Arteta kind of pushed a lot of men forward. He kind of opted for having at least 7 attackers, and then having the 2 holding, and then the 2 at the back and 1 in the midfield. And he wanted to obviously bombard Chelsea and have that numerical advantage. But the problem is when you looked at certain times when we was attacking, you had on the last line of Chelsea's defence, you had all of our men in one line. And where we hurt people more is through our triangles, especially on the left and on the right. We didn't have none of that, so we was very vertical. So there was not much we could do in terms of hurting Chelsea. I think the only time where we did hurt them was the last moment of the game, where Hincapié actually pushed up a bit further, often offered himself of a better angle, and played a nice little 1-2 with Madueke, and we managed to open up their low block and then obviously whip it in the box or loft it into the box. But we have to play a smart game, move the ball quick at times, but then also slow it down. And I just felt like we just kind of, with the Chelsea game, we played into their hands, because they're one of the best in terms of transitioning. Because we wasn't clinical enough, what Kenya said, 100%. The ball would go into Sanchez's hands, and then he's rolling it out, and you got Pedro Neto doing a one-on-one with Hincapié. So there was a lot of things that I take from the game where I'm like, okay, we managed to do well against Chelsea, 10 men, but we have to use the men up top, and they have to move a lot more and get on better angles to receive the ball And then, especially shoot outside the box. Because, I felt like Eze, I think it was Moreno who ended up dropping a bit more from false 9, and he was trying to shoot outside the box. Or Odegaard had an opportunity to shoot outside the box, but it was such a tame effort. Whereas if we had Eze there, we've seen what he done in the North London derby.
Yeah.
So, you're right in terms of shooting more, but I just feel like it's being more pragmatic in terms of opening up the opposition. That's what we need to do. Use the width that our left backs will, and even Ben White will help us if he does play.
Good point. Okay, then. Time is pressing. I know my boy Hass in the production team is always chew my ears off about time. So let's move straight to our predictions. Let's start with Kenya. Your prediction score for this game?
I'm going 3-1 Arsenal.
3-1 Arsenal.
I'm going the same what I've done in the other video. 3-0 Arsenal, clean sheet.
Yeah, I think that there could be goals in this game, and I think Arsenal will get them. I think. Yeah, I'm going 3-0. I think we need to put in a much better performance that we did at the weekend against Chelsea, and I think you'll see that. And I'm confident we'll get the win, and I think we'll score a few goals to go with it. So, Arsenal 3, Brentford 0. But we have to wait and see. But thanks so much, guys, for coming on. Kenya, big up yourself. Thank you so much for coming on. Likewise, my boy Qualms.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for watching.
Appreciate
Catch you on the next one. We're out.